In the UK, the National Childbirth Trust runs antenatal classes around the country. There are several classes which women and their partners attend, usually after 30 to 34 weeks of pregnancy. These classes get booked up very quickly, so if you're interested, you should book almost as soon as you know you're pregnant. Most of the classes are for first-time parents, but there are also refreshers for those who've been there before.
But there is some strong evidence to suggest, around these things, to suggest that for some of the outcomes around natural birth and pain, that actually you're more likely to achieve those things at home. The National Childbirth Trust offers very varying formats, and it will depend on the area and on the teacher and how many teachers there are as to what's available. The traditional NCT format is 8 2-hour classes over an 8-week period, but the formats will really vary. So for example, in central London, you're much more likely to have 1 or 2 day courses over a weekend or over 2 weekends.
The NCT caters for all women and their partners. In this class tonight, Jennifer Elliott is going through expectations for the birth.
There are classes that are mixed. We do classes that are women only. Some teachers will do mixed classes with a women only session and a men only session. And there are also other projects available nationally. So for example, in Brighton, one of our NCT teachers has set up and runs an antenatal drop-in for teenagers. So that tends to be an 8-week rolling course, but people can drop in at any time, and they may drop in by themselves, with friends, with partners, with parents. I think anything goes.
Jennifer's just one of a multitude of trained staff and volunteers who provide a variety of services for the NCT.
We have specialist workers who run the antenatal classes, and in some areas we also have postnatal discussion leaders that run a booked course postnatally. And we have breastfeeding counsellors who support the teachers and the postnatal leaders, and also run a counselling service. And that's available to everybody, paying, non-paying, members and non-members. And we also have branches throughout the country, and branches are supported entirely by volunteers, and the activities and services that they offer will really vary greatly according to the area and the number of volunteers. But typically you might find bumps and babies groups where people can go antenatally or with young babies. Breastfeeding support. We have bra agents who can measure and fit you for bras, breastfeeding pump agents. So there's a lot going on nationally.
Today, Jennifer's focusing on breathing techniques.
And we're concentrating on breathing, on relaxation and on the visualisation. And for partners, for the dads, what can be really useful about this is it's something really practical that you can do, and it can really help you focus on your partner's breathing. For the women, do you all feel stable? Mm-hmm. Okay. For the men, you need a bit of flex in your knees, particularly if there's a height difference. You're both going to breathe in together. So as the hand moves up, I want you to breathe in to the top of the head, okay? And your hand can rest there, and as you breathe out, stroke down the bump to underneath the bump. Breathing out, hand down, okay? It really varies enormously, the cost of classes. It varies nationally and it varies on the course format. So for example, in central London it will be a lot more expensive than it would be in the northeast. In Brighton our standard course costs £160. And at that price we actually can't meet the demand. Even with 8 teachers, we still have more clients than we have places on courses. So it's worth contacting a local branch and finding out, and also discussing with them, because they will also always work out according to need and means. They often have subsidised places available as well. They do get booked up very quickly. You can inquire through the National NCT website. In Brighton we take bookings from 16 weeks, but you need to be pretty much spot on that 16 weeks because they do book up so quickly. So getting on the waiting list at kind of between 16 and 20 weeks. We don't take bookings earlier than that because we do get quite a high dropout rate under 16 weeks for various reasons. So 16 to 20 weeks seems to be the optimum.
Although you'll need to book your courses early, the classes will not begin until the latter stages of pregnancy.
They'll start at between 30 and 32 weeks and we'll be finishing 36 to 38 weeks of pregnancy. Although some teachers also offer early pregnancy classes, which will be in the first trimester of pregnancy, and that will be 1 or 2, focusing more on the pregnancy rather than the labour and the birth.